So good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Fernando. I'm an adult neurologist. So this morning we will be talking about the pharmacology of antidepressants and antipsychotics. So how are these neurotransmitters synthesized? Okay, and what are its actions? So neurotransmitters, they are synthesized in the axon terminal, is located at the end of the neuron. So there are enzymes in the cytoplasm of the terminal that use precursor molecules, okay, to create these neurotransmitters. So precursor molecules are either taken up from outside the neuron by transporters or are byproducts of other cellular processes. So what are the examples of these precursor molecules? So for the neurotransmitters, the catecholamines dopa, norepi, and epinephrine, they are synthesized from tyrosine, while serotonin from tryptophan and GABA, they are synthesized from glutamate. Okay. Okay, so they are then stored in vesicles. They are transported. Okay, then there's vesicle fusion. Okay, so they work by being released from a neuron crossing a synapse. Okay, this tiny gap. And they bind to the receptors at the postsynaptic area. They produce either an inhibitory or an excitatory response. Then after their function, they are then taken back to the nerve terminal, okay, and are broken down by degrading enzymes. So what is the monoamine theory of depression? So the monoamine theory of depression states that depression is caused by a functional deficiency or imbalance of the monoamine neurotransmitter, primarily serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine. So the neurotransmitters involved, the theory focuses on the depletion of this specific neurotransmitter because serotonin is associated with mood, sleep, and appetite. Norepinephrine involved in attention and behavior, while dopamine is linked to reward, motivation, and feeling of joy. Okay? So what is the mode of action? So what are the mode of action of antidepressants? So all of these antidepressants function by increasing the availability of these monoamines, the serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine by one of the following methods. So, okay, they inhibit, there's presynaptic inhibition of the reuptake of these monoamines here. So antagonist activity at the presynaptic inhibitory serotonin or norepinephrine receptors, which enhances neurotransmitter release. Okay. So they inhibit these presynaptic inhibitory receptors. Also, they inhibit these degrading enzymes, the monoamine oxidase, which reduces neurotransmitter breakdown and increasing availability of the neurotransmitter precursors. So the initial resolution of depressive symptoms takes minimum of 2 to 4 weeks of intake of these antidepressants. So one of, so first of all, the tricyclic antidepressants. So they are present since the 1950s. Less popular choice than the new generation of antidepressants, but they have similar therapeutic efficacy. The mode of action, they block the reuptake of serotonin, okay, and norepinephrine in the presynaptic terminals, okay. They block the serotonin and the norepinephrine, okay, receptors. Okay. They then increase the concentration of the neurotransmitters in the synaptic cleft and likely contribute to its antidepressive effect. Additionally, so besides blocking the serotonin and the norepinephrine receptors, they also act as competitive antagonists on the postsynaptic alpha cholinergic, muscarinic, and histaminergic receptors. So this additional mode of action are responsible for many of their adverse effects. So blocking of the serotonin and norepinephrine antidepressive action, while these other mode of action are responsible for the side effects or adverse events of tricyclic antidepressants. So what are the different tricyclic antidepressants? Okay, so amitriptyline is the most widely used and is most effective. You can also use amitriptyline for tension headache, neuropathic pain, okay? Nortriptyline, the same. So triptyline is also used for depression and is unique because it is energizing rather than sedating. Imipramine for major depression and enuresis, desipramine, okay, doxepin, and trimipramine. So pharmacokinetics, they have long and variable half-lives given in a single daily dose. So most tricyclics are incompletely absorbed and undergo significant first-pass metabolism. So they are highly protein-bound and relatively high lipids with high lipid solubility. Means they have good blood-brain barrier permeability. So these TCAs have a narrow therapeutic index, means even a small difference between the effective dose and a dose that can cause a serious or life-threatening side effect. Meaning, if the dose is lower, okay, even a low adjustment of the dose may be ineffective, or a slow increase in the dose, it can be toxic. So it has a narrow therapeutic index. So depression, you have to take it for 1 to 3 weeks initially to have a response. Okay, so it's not instant. You have to tell the patient. Okay, so it can also be used for neuropathic pain. Okay, others bipolar, chronic insomnia, ADHD, and panic disorders. So what are the side effects of the TCAs? Okay, as discussed. Additionally, its effect on the cholinergic, muscarinic, okay, anti-adrenergic, and antihistaminergic um, effect. Okay, so what are its anti-muscarinic effects? Dry mouth, blurred vision, urinary retention, constipation, and aggravation of glaucoma and epilepsy. Because of its anti-adrenergic effect, it can cause postural hypotension, then reflex tachycardia. This is the most common. And its most toxic side effect is cardiovascular. It can cause heart failure, hypertension, sudden death, arrhythmias, and ECG changes. That's why you have to prevent giving amitriptyline to patients with recent MI, or if the patient has MI. It can cause sedation because of its antihistaminergic effect, hormonal effects such as loss of libido, impotence, and gastric irritation, weight change, allergic skin reaction, and jaundice. Contraindication for patient with BPH or prostate hyperplasia, because of its potent anticholinergic effect, it can worsen urinary symptoms and cause acute urinary retention. You also avoid giving this in patients with narrow angle glaucoma, because its anticholinergic effect will cause the pupils to dilate. It can cause blockade of the flow of fluid, okay? And recent MI, as discussed, heart block, heart failure, arrhythmias, and it can lower seizure threshold in patients with epilepsy. So drug interaction of TCAs, okay, for the monoamine oxidase inhibitor, it can cause, if you give it with monoamine oxidase inhibitor, it can cause serotonin syndrome. So this is a life-threatening side effect. Can cause tachycardia, hypertension, hyperactivity, hyperpyretic crisis, eventually convulsion or coma. So TCA should not be given in conjunction with or within at least 2 weeks of treatment with a MAO. Okay, so if you started the patient on a MAO inhibitor, you must at least wait for at least 2 weeks, okay, if you want to shift it to a TCA. So CNS, so drug interaction, if you give it with a CNS depressant such as alcohol barbiturates, can cause increased sedation. Drugs that are hepatic enzyme inhibitors, such as cimetidine and SSRIs, because they inhibit the enzyme. Okay, these hepatic enzyme inhibitors, they inhibit the enzyme that metabolizes your TCAs, okay, which can cause dangerously high levels of TCA and can cause serotonin syndrome. Also, drug interaction with hepatic enzyme inducers such as carbamazepine because they reduce the plasma concentration of TCAs, and oral Coumadin anticoagulants because it can cause bleeding. So tolerance and withdrawal with TCA. So tolerance generally develops to anticholinergic and sedative effects within a short time. So an occasional withdrawal symptoms is reported with abrupt discontinuation from higher doses. So true dependence, however, it does not occur. Okay, so you can use TCA for a prolonged treatment without loss of effectiveness. So next is your SSRIs. So your SSRIs are your selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. They are introduced in the 1980s as a new antidepressants, okay? So they replace the TCAs. They affect the serotonin-containing nerves. So they are safe, with better tolerability, and less severe side effects. So they are less toxic in overdose than the TCAs and do not require blood monitoring. So, the mode of action of the SSRIs. So, serotonin is a neurotransmitter that is thought to be involved in regulating many functions, including emotions, mood, memory, and sleep. So, depression is associated with reduced levels of this monoamine. Okay? So, an SSRI restores the levels of serotonin in the synaptic cleft by binding at the serotonin reuptake transporter. Okay, here. Preventing the reuptake and subsequent degradation of the serotonin, increasing, okay, the concentration of the serotonin in the synaptic cleft. So, what are the examples of SSRIs? Citalopram, okay, the most common is citalopram. It's used for major depression and various anxiety disorders. Fluoxetine, okay, fluvoxamine, paroxetine, and sertraline. So these SSRIs are orally administered. They are rapidly absorbed and distributed. So the long half-life of fluoxetine and its metabolites imposes cautious management when treatment is to be changed because, okay, this drug lingers in the blood for some time after the treatment has been discontinued. So you have to wait for a washout period. So if you started the patient on an SSRI and you want to shift to another antidepressant, for example, MAO, for an SSRI, you have to wait at least 5 weeks, okay, before starting another antidepressant, okay, to avoid risk of drug-to-drug interaction, especially serotonin syndrome. So side effects, so SSRIs have fewer side effects than the TCAs because TCAs additionally have an anticholinergic, antihistaminergic, antiadrenergic effects, while SSRIs does not. They only block the reuptake of serotonin. So then they have fewer side effects. So what are its side effects? So GI, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Okay, it can also cause headache, insomnia, anxiety, agitation. Okay, it can also cause sexual dysfunction. Weight loss, tremors, and seizure, but they do not have the anticholinergic, antihistaminergic side effects. So its use, okay, efficacy is similar to that of TCAs. It has no anticholinergic, no orthostatic hypotension, no weight gain, no toxic and overdose. Low, most importantly, it has lower cardiotoxicity compared to a TCAs, and it causes increased acceptance. So it can be used in depression, minor depressive illnesses, anxiety disorders, OCD disorders, eating disorders, chronic pain, and menstrual syndrome. Drug interaction. If you use it concurrently with a MAO inhibitor, it can cause serotonin syndrome. So you should wait at least 2 weeks between stopping MAO and starting an SSRI, or at least 5 weeks after stopping an SSRI and starting a MAO inhibitor. So if you started MAO, monoamine oxidase inhibitor, discontinue it, wait at least 2 weeks before starting an SSRI. If the patient is on an SSRI and if you want to stop, wait at least 5 weeks before starting a monoamine oxidase inhibitor. Okay. So if you um take an SSRI with tryptophan, so tryptophan supplement, tryptophan containing food, it can cause headache, nausea, sweating, and dizziness. Can also have a drug interaction with warfarin and cause excessive bleeding. So SSRIs do not have a significant affinity for the histaminergic, alpha-1 adrenergic, postsynaptic dopa, GABA, or glutamate receptors, nor do they inhibit the monoamine oxidase. So antidepressants, including SSRI, typically takes at least 2 weeks to produce significant improvement in mood, and maximum benefit may require up to 12 weeks. So again, tell your patient, hindi po instant ang effect. Hintay po tayo ng at least 2 weeks, and you may get maximum benefit from the drug for at least 12 weeks or more. Next is serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. Example are venlafaxine, duloxetine, levolnilnazepam, and desvenlafaxine. Okay, so mechanism of action, okay, so inhibit, right? They inhibit the presynaptic neuronal uptake of the serotonin and norepinephrine. So an SSRI inhibit reuptake of serotonin alone, while SNRI inhibit reuptake of both serotonin and norepinephrine, okay, following release from the synaptic cleft. So prevention of reuptake prolongs the persistence of these monoamines in the synaptic cleft within the central nervous system. So therapeutic use of SNRIs through depression, anxiety, ADHD, OCD, okay? Can use it if your patient has hot flashes and night sweats associated with menopause. You can use it for peripheral neuropathy due to chemotherapy, migraine, and may be effective in treating depression in patients in whom SSRIs are ineffective. So what are the effects of SNRIs? Same as SSRIs: nausea, headache, sexual dysfunction, dizziness, insomnia, sedation, and constipation. Okay? So the SNRI may precipitate a discontinuation syndrome if treatment is abruptly stopped. So discontinuation requires a slow tapering. Okay? Slowly reduce the dose before discontinuing the drug. The adverse effect, other, is suicide risk. So the SNRIs also, unlike the TCAs, have little activity on the alpha-adrenergic, muscarinic, or histamine receptors. Hence, they have fewer side effects compared to TCAs. So SNRIs, their use is contraindicated in pregnancy. Okay? So caution with intake of monoamine oxidase, okay, and tricyclic antidepressant because it can cause serotonin syndrome. So adverse effect, so or drug-to-drug interaction with intake of anticoagulants, it can cause bleeding, antihistamine because of increased sedation and anticholinergic effect, alcohol because it can increase sedation, and ketoconazole. So because ketoconazole is a potent inhibitor of the CYP3A4 enzyme, which is involved in the metabolism of the SNRIs. Okay? So it can cause serotonin syndrome. So if you inhibit the enzyme that degrades SNRIs, it can cause increased levels of these SNRIs and cause serotonin syndrome. Its cardiac effect, it can cause QT prolongation. Next is monoamine oxidase inhibitors. Okay, so adverse reaction associated with the mouse are generally more frequent and severe than with other antidepressants. So you have to reduce the dose, you have to monitor the patients. So the use of MAO inhibitors is now limited because of these complicated dietary restrictions required of patients taking a MAO inhibitor. So the mechanism of action of MAO. So the monoamine oxidase, this enzyme inactivates the monoamines, the norepi, serotonin, and dopamine that leaks from the synaptic vesicle. Okay? While the effect of your MAO inhibitors, they prevent this inactivation of the monoamines within a neuron, causing an excess neurotransmitter to diffuse into the synaptic cleft. Okay? So monoamine oxidase inhibitors remain a useful and efficacious tool in treating atypical depression, panic, social anxiety disorder, treatment-resistant depression, and bipolar disorder. So there are two main isoenzymes of the monoamine oxidase, the MAO-A and the MAO-B. So norepi, epi, dopa, tryptamine, and tyramine are all oxidized by both isoenzymes. On the other hand, serotonin is mainly oxidized by MAO-A. Okay? Serotonin, MAO-A. So there are two types of the monoamine oxidase inhibitors, the non-selective and the selective. The non-selective include isocarboxacid, phenercine, and tranylcypromine, while selective includes selegiline and rasagiline. The non-selective inhibit both MAO-A and MAO-B, while the selective only inhibits the MAO-B. Okay? So the non-selective irreversibly inhibits, okay? They are irreversible MAO inhibitors, while this selective monoamine oxidase inhibitor. They increase the DOPA, okay, and are used to treat Parkinson's disease. So the action and pharmacokinetics, they are well absorbed after oral administration. They are metabolized in the liver and excreted mainly by the GI tract. So they are only used as second and third choice drug, okay, especially since the major problem is hypertensive crisis with intake of tyramine foods. So they are indicated for depressed patients who are unresponsive or allergic to TCAs or who experience strong anxiety. Also used in the treatment of phobic states, atypical depression may also respond to MAO inhibitors. So washout period, okay, so the irreversibility, diba, the MAO inhibitor, they irreversibly bind to the enzymes. Okay. So this is a serious problem. So the effects of these MAO inhibitors continue until new unbound monoamine oxidase is synthesized. So enzyme regeneration occurs several weeks after the ending of treatment. So washout period of at least 2 weeks should be allowed between stopping a MAO and starting a TCA or an SSRI. Again, washout period, if you start MAO, then discontinue, wait at least 2 weeks before starting a TCA or an SSRI. If you started the patient on an SSRI, then decided to discontinue, at least wait 5 weeks before starting a MAO inhibitor. So during these 2 weeks, the patient should continue dietary and other restrictions until this time has elapsed. So adverse effects or interaction of the MAO inhibitor, tyramine-rich food such as cheese, red wine, beer, chicken liver, it can cause cheese reaction. So the tyramine, not inactivated by a monoamine oxidase, increase the catecholamine release, cause tachycardia, headache, nausea, hypertension, cardiac arrhythmias, and even stroke. So it may develop within 30 minutes to 1 hour after ingestion of the food. So an antidote is phentolamine or prazosin. Okay, so a MAO inhibitor may also interact with a symptomatic agent such as dopa and ephedrine, opioid, and narcotic. And of course, TCAs and SSRIs can cause serotonin syndrome. So monoamine oxidase blockade has the potential of serious and indeed life-threatening consequence if the subject is exposed to certain agents, which would normally be metabolized by the same enzyme. So the patients on MAO inhibitor must therefore be educated to avoid tyramine-containing food, okay, and some drugs that contain tyramine. So there are already supplements that contain tyramine. Okay? So for this reason, the MAO inhibitors are no longer considered as first choice antidepressants and are usually only prescribed after other options have failed. So drugs to avoid with MAO inhibitors, symptomimetic agents, opioid, amphetamine, dextromethorphan, okay, CNS depressant, SSRIs, and TCAs. Other side effect, sleep disturbance, orthostatic hypotension, weight gain, sexual dysfunction, insomnia, okay, peripheral neuropathy. Contraindication to a MAO inhibitor, pheochromocytoma, congestive heart failure, and of course, liver disease because it is metabolized in the liver. Next is the norepinephrine dopamine reuptake inhibitor. So the drug is bupropion. So mechanism of action is similar to SSRIs and SNRIs, but more potent in inhibiting dopamine. Okay, so adverse effect, it lowers seizure threshold, suicide, but does not cause weight gain or sexual dysfunction. Okay, even used to treat the two. Next is the serotonin antagonist and reuptake inhibitor. So SARI work by inhibiting the serotonin uptake in the brain. Okay, they also act as an antagonist to inhibit a certain serotonin receptors known as 5-HT2A receptor. Okay, example is trazodone and nefazodone. Indication is depression and anxiety. An advantage is less antimuscarinic and cardiotoxic than the TCA. Okay, so that's it for the antidepressants. Next is antipsychotics. So your psychotic disorders, you already discussed that in psychology lecture. So there's a long time theory, the dopamine-driven pathology. So multiple receptors or neurotransmitter systems are involved, both dopamine and serotonergic mechanism, and most likely also glutamate. Okay? So dopa and serotonin. Okay? So a simplistic view is that an increased dopamine and serotonin results in psychosis, while a decreased dopamine and serotonin results in depression. So in DSM-5 criteria for the positive symptoms of psychotic disorders includes delusions, hallucination, disorganized speech, thought, catatonic behavior, and bizarre behaviors. While the negative symptoms include flat affect, poor eye contact, and lack of goal-directed activity. So most patients exhibit both type of symptoms. Okay. So your antipsychotic drugs, what are the other names? So you often hear neuroleptics, anti-schizophrenia drugs, antipsychotics, and major tranquilizers. So they are used to treat schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders. So the mechanism of action of the older neuroleptic drugs, the typical antipsychotics, they are competitive blockers of the dopamine receptors. While the newer atypical antipsychotics, they are blockers of the serotonin receptors and to a lesser extent the dopamine receptors. This is why typical or older neuroleptic drugs have increased extrapyramidal symptom side effects because they block the D2 receptors. Okay? So the antipsychotic drugs also relieve the manic phase of bipolar affective disorders. So many also block the muscarinic, alpha adrenergic, and histamine receptors to a varying degree. So what are the antipsychotic drug list? So the first generation, okay, so these are the typical antipsychotic drugs. The low potency are chlorpromazine, which is the prototype, prochlorperazine, and thioridazine, while the first generation high potency antipsychotic drugs include fluphenazine, your haloperidol, and thiotixine. Okay? Your second generation or the atypical antipsychotic drugs include your clozapine, risperidone, olanzapine, quetiapine, ziprasidone, and aripiprazole. So these antipsychotic drugs all reduce the positive symptoms of hallucinations and agitation by blocking the dopamine receptors. Your first generation are most effective against the positive symptoms, while the atypical or your newer generation agents are arguably more effective in treating the negative symptoms. So these antipsychotic effects take several weeks to be effective. They also have calming effect, your tranquilizers, and they are used to handle agitated and disruptive behavior, especially those with IV form, okay, your haloperidol. So they reduce spontaneous physical movement. So other actions that can be helpful, the antiemetic effect due to blockade of the D2, the dopamine, D2 receptors in the chemoreceptor trigger zone of the medulla. Okay, the second generation antipsychotic has less antiemetic effect. Anticholinergic effect help minimize the risk of EPS, okay, with first generation. Okay? So intractable hiccups, we give chlorpromazine, okay, and pain control. However, they have no analgesic effect. So adverse effect of dopamine blockade is more for the typical antipsychotics, especially haloperidol, the high potency. Okay, and lowest for risperidone and clozapine. So 80% show adverse effect, but the therapeutic index is high. So use lowest dose possible. So what are the different extrapyramidal symptoms because of the dopamine acetylcholine imbalance? So akathisia, so feeling of restlessness or inability to sit still, hindi mapakali si patient. Parkinson's-like disease, bradykinesia, matigas, mabagal, with tremor and rigidity, Parkinson-like. Okay, so these are examples of an extrapyramidal symptom. Tardive dyskinesia. There are stereotype repetitive oral facial dyskinesia, okay, or choreiform movements of the limbs. So agents with higher potency for these T2 receptors, the high potency typical antipsychotics, they have greater propensity to induce EPS. Okay? For agents with high EPS, can use antimuscarinic drugs. It can blunt excitatory too. Others include gynecomastia, amenorrhea, and galactorrhea. So prolactin release increase with D2 blockade. Okay? So adverse effect, okay? Okay, one of the most dreaded but rare, it's the neuroleptic malignant syndrome. Okay, so it is idiosyncratic. It might develop after 2 weeks or even 20 years of antipsychotic drugs. So it is rare and potentially fatal. So if your patient has autonomic instability, hypertension, rigid, high fever, stupor, with intake of an antipsychotic drugs, okay, most probably one of your differential diagnosis is neuroleptic malignant syndrome. Other adverse effects, it's anticholinergic, xerostomia, urinary retention, constipation, okay, aggravation of glaucoma. It's antiadrenergic, orthostatic hypotension, sexual dysfunction, antihistaminic, sedation, antiserotonergic, it can cause weight gain, okay, more prominent with atypicals, and diabetes mellitus. Okay, it can cause hyperglycemia. It is more prominent with atypical. So caution is it has an FDA black box warning not to be used for dementia-related psychosis because it can increase risk of mortality in elderly dementia patient, may cause drowsiness. Avoid alcohol and other antidepressants. Do not give to patients with glaucoma or prostatic hypertrophy. Again, because it can because of its anticholinergic side effects, it can cause acute urinary retention. Caution in patients with stroke or hepatic disease, and safety in pregnancy has not been established. So your prototype for the typical low potency antipsychotics is chlorpromazine. So its brand name is Thorazine. It is introduced in 1959. Okay, it is a first generation low potency antipsychotic. So it can also control manifestation of mania, and you can give it for intractable hiccups. Okay. For example, you have a patient with a medullary infarct. One of the manifestation is intractable hiccups. If your metoclopramide or baclofen is not working, you can actually give chlorpromazine. Okay. However, it is not used much anymore due to its side effects and highest occurrence of sedation. Next is haloperidol. It is introduced in 1967. It is a first-generation high-potency antipsychotics. It is recommended first-line drug for treatment of schizophrenia, for treatment of acute agitation because it is rapid-acting, because it is high-potency D2 blocker. It can cause extrapyramidal symptoms, okay? Less drowsiness than other antipsychotics. Caution, it can cause neuroleptic malignant syndrome. Okay? Available as per ORM, IM, okay? Intramuscular injection. Next is flofenacine or prolixine. It is introduced in 1959. It is also a first generation high potency antipsychotic. It is good in patients refusing oral medication because it comes in depot injection. Okay? Available as IM and Decanoate. Next is Pimoside. It is miscellaneous category approved in 1985 for Tourette syndrome. Okay? So it is used for suppression of motor and phonic tics. It is second line after failure to respond to haloperidol. Okay, contraindication if the patient has congenital QT interval syndrome and long history of cardiac arrhythmias. So the atypical antipsychotics becoming the drugs of choice for treatment of psychosis. They have high affinity to serotonin receptor antagonists, okay, but also are dopamine receptor antagonists or partial agonists. So it's different from the typical antipsychotic because they bind less avidly to these D2 receptors in the striatum and hypothalamus. Okay? Therefore, they produce less extrapyramidal symptoms and endocrine disturbances. So they have somewhat better therapeutic profile and appear to improve cognitive function as compared to conventional drugs. So your atypical antipsychotic is clozapine, risperidone, olanzapine, quetiapine, okay, ciprasidone, aripiprazole, okay, paliperidone, okay. So your clozapine, it is an antipsychotic, excellent for the negative symptom. It has a low risk for EPS or tardive dyskinesia. It is only reserved, however, for refractory patients due to high risk of agranulocytosis, which can be fatal. So, if you are giving your patient clozapine, you must have weekly CBC monitoring. So, last resort, but drug of choice for or refractory schizophrenia. Next is risperidone. It is antipsychotic with fewer side effects than clozapine. No agranulocytosis risk. It is also a first-line therapy. Okay. Adverse effects include weight gain, orthostatic hypotension, reflex tachycardia, etc. We also give risperidone for most of our involuntary movements, such as chorea. Okay. So other atypical, olanzapine. Oh, olanzapine. Oh, that's my I remembered olanzapine as the atypical antipsychotics that cause weight gain because parang malaki. So olanzapine weight gain is a major problem. So 30% of patients on olanzapine gain more than 20 pounds, and also diabetes can occur. Quetiapine, our favorite, less weight gain noted. Okay. However, diabetes can occur, and watch out for QT prolongation. Ciprasidone, no weight gain, diabetes can occur, QT prolongation can also occur, okay? Aripiprazole, okay. Also, less weight gain, but diabetes can also occur. So these atypical antipsychotic, they have low risk for extrapyramidal symptoms or tardive dyskinesia with no agranulocytosis risk compared to clozapine. So agranulocytosis, clozapine. Weight gain, olanzapine. EPS, typical high potency antipsychotics. Dopamine blockade, typical antipsychotic. More of serotonin blockade, atypical antipsychotic. So guidelines for treatment, use atypicals if at all possible. Contraindications include pregnancy, refractory patients, and hypersensitivity. So not approved for black box warning, not approved for elderly or dementia-related psychosis because it can increase mortality. Always try to decrease the dose needed after acute period. Educate patient and assess compliance and watch closely for adverse effects. Okay. So the FDA has asked drug makers to include information on hyperglycemia and diabetes on the labels of all atypical antipsychotics. Okay. So they are the relative incidence. So these are the relative incidence of antipsychotic drug adverse events. That's all. Thank you, everyone.